Hello, everyone. Why aren't there more literary men? This is a question that I have been asking myself lately, and it didn't really occur to me until relatively recently. But, like, for example, on Book Talk, I am probably the youngest literary man, so to speak, the youngest writer on there that I know of. And I'm not that young, I'm 30, but I just turned 30 a few days ago. But when it comes to men in their 20s, I don't know of very many. In fact, I don't know of any off the top of my head. It's most of the people that I interact with on Book Talk are female or they're older men, men who at least appear to be in their late 30s and above. I don't know of very many young men who are writing and making content. I think that's another thing to say. It's not just writing; it's also making content. So, if you are a male writer who, let's say, is under, I'll be generous, 35, and you make content, then please let me know because I don't know of very many of you. But even on YouTube, for example, there there doesn't seem to be as very many literary men. There are more than on TikTok, but still not very many. One person that I know of is Miles Knight, who, although I haven't been able to contact him in a while, I keep sending him messages and emails and comments, but he won't respond to any of them. Where are you, Miles? What are you doing? I don't know, but that's a topic for another time. But anyway, but no, there doesn't seem to be a lot of young literary men. Well, why could that be? And I don't really know per se because I love writing and I love reading. So for me, I'm a bit baffled because I'm not part of that demographic. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily a problem that publishing seems to be dominated primarily by um, females, but it is something that I've been puzzled by. Of course, I'm using this notebook to represent the fact that men could be writing stories in notebooks like this if only they would have some initiative or desire to do so. But and of course, one of the upsides, I suppose, to being one of the few younger, so to speak, although I'm not that young anymore, male authors, it does make me unique, I suppose. But at the same time, and I'm also one of the only writers who gives readings from my work almost every day. I don't know of very many other authors, male or female, who give consistent readings. They'll do some readings occasionally, but not consistent readings. So I think I'm unique in that sense. But at the same time, I do think that if you're only hearing from one perspective, that it can damage the overall effectiveness of an industry as a whole and can make it too rigid in terms of ideology. Now, of course, in the past, books were skewed far more to the male point of view, but now I think there may have been an overcorrection. And now I've tried to think of various reasons as to why, because there aren't as many literary men, or especially younger literary men. And some of it, some of the reasons people have suggested is that okay, perhaps um, reading is seen as a masculine activity, I mean, as a feminine activity, and therefore men don't want to participate in it. But I don't really know if that holds much water because more men read in the past, and 100 years ago, there were more cultural expectations around masculinity then than there are now. So I don't really see that as being a good explanation. It could be because of technology has distracted people, but it hasn't affected women to that same degree. So I don't see how it could be related to technology either. And some people also say it's because traditional publishing because traditional publishing is dominated by women. That's why men aren't writing more. And I'm thinking I can see that, but at the same time, that doesn't really stop people from self-publishing and doing what I do. So there's nothing stopping from a man from doing the kinds of things that I do, yet they're not doing it on a large scale. And so I don't think that is a satisfactory explanation either. Um, and I do think, though, that I do think one problem, though, is that in the traditional publishing sense, is that when you only have books that seem to be targeted towards one demographic, that can turn people off from becoming interested overall if it's that narrow. Especially men. Like if a man walks into a bookstore and he doesn't see any books that could be for him, he might not become interested in reading as a whole. But at the same time, I do think that anyone who is intellectually curious can find things that they would like to read. And so that's not really a fully satisfactory explanation either. But I do think again that it is unfortunate because it can lead um, to um, to the ideology and perspective being too narrow within an industry. And so I do wish more men would read because and write books, because I do think we need to hear those those stories in that perspective at the same time. And so, but it is something that never really occurred to me until recently, that it is rather odd that there aren't really a lot of younger male authors to commune with, and that's something only recently that I've realized. But yes, I do think that it is having a negative impact overall.